This interview is brought to you by Burn It Up Coaching and the 21-Day Challenge. If you're an entrepreneur or a high achiever and you feel like you're just not achieving the success, the fulfillment, the happiness, you're not making the money you want, you're not achieving the goals that you want, you're not fulfilled, the 21-Day Challenge will help you get back on the right track for that, to feel into your purpose, to take massive action on your purpose so you can succeed like never before. If you're interested in your 21-Day Challenge, send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com, or you can message me on Facebook. Looking forward to hearing from you. Next up is the iTunes review of the week, and it is by Chad G89. He says, inspiring. Chris is bold with what he is doing in his 12-hour marathon, and he's absolutely brilliant with what he teaches. This show has really great advice on how to better ourselves so we can better our lives. I'm excited to learn more. If you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes, and you can give us a review there, or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store and give us a review like that. Thanks so much in advance for doing that. I appreciate you letting us know how we can improve, how we can grow, and become our greatest possible selves together, yo. This woman who I'm about to bring on is a powerhouse mother, and she's a businesswoman, and she absolutely has a fire lit under her butt and in her soul to go out and change mothers' lives. Mothers who feel like they've lost their purpose, mothers who feel like they can get more out of this life, can fulfill their dreams. I'm going to let her talk about it. And if you know someone who's a mother, if you had a mother, if you have a mother, if you are just wanting to grow in your relationships with yourself and the people around you, definitely stay tuned, because Mychelle is going to share some gold and wisdom on how you can truly tap into that. Stay tuned throughout the entire 12 hours, yes, of the marathon, yes, and specifically this interview, because it's going to rock. Michelle's a superstar, okay? So let's introduce her, and then we'll bring her on the screen. Mychelle Fernandez is a recent corporate professional turned mompreneur. She successfully advanced up the corporate career ladder while raising 4 little ones and wants to help other mothers do the same. She is also on a mission to change society's perceptions of working mothers so they can be recognized and rewarded for the valuable skills they bring to the workforce. Mychelle, are you ready to rock the house, superstar?
I am ready.
You are ready. Yes, you are. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for showing up and sharing your message, your mission, and your wisdom about your journey through life with our audience. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So let's dive right into the question of the day, which starts off with how to not care what people think. And I know that this is super awesome because we were just having a conversation about this, about, some people it's easy to not care what they think. And then some people it's a little bit more challenging to speak our truth. So Mychelle, from your perspective, how to not care what people think, share with us what that means and how you go about it.
Okay. From my perspective as a working mother, not caring what other people think is hugely important. Mothers in particular get caught up in comparing themselves to other mothers, other women, even male counterparts in the workplace. Yeah. And you can't do that. You don't have the same resources. You don't have the same background. You don't have the same children. So you really need to focus on you, the resources you have, and making the best out of those.
Wow.
You and Annette earlier were talking about those limiting beliefs. Those are all in your head. And if you can learn to overcome those and focus on your goals, your vision, and that's really all it comes down to. And the rest of it's just noise.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it, Mychelle. So it's like really being aware of who we are and then finding out what's in the way of us really being fulfilled and achieving our dreams. And it might be other people's concerns, their thoughts, what they, feel about us. And it's like, well, hey, it's not about them. It's about us. It's about me. It's about you. It's about, if you're listening right now, it's about what you care about, listener in the audience, like what's important to you, what you value, what is going to make the difference for you in your life. So Mychelle, I love that we're already going there, just having an amazing conversation so far. And everyone, get your pens, get your papers ready. Like, best be writing notes, because this is already gold. So Mychelle, let's move into a little bit more about who you are and what you stand for. I mentioned it in the intro. Just in your own words, though, we'd love to hear, who is Mychelle Fernandez? What do you stand for?
Okay, so right now at this point in my life, I am a mother. So I stand for my family, my children. I stand for my faith. I stand for other women, other working mothers trying to move it, trying to make it every day in this world, and trying to move up and make a name for themselves. and to prove that we are not just mothers in the home taking care of children, that we have values to bring to the table and valuable skills that can help these corporations and organizations improve their bottom line. So we need that opportunity to show that.
So amazing. So it's like you're really standing for opportunity. You're standing for being valued, for being recognized, and just like having the freedom to fulfill on those passions and those goals. And the best parts about these women, especially these mothers, so that they can receive the celebration and the fulfillment and the happiness that they know that they deserve.
Right.
Yeah.
Freedom's in there too, and that touched a lot on that freedom, and I'm big on that one too. Whatever freedom or success looks like to you.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Freedom is so powerful. So, we're really getting a picture of who is Mychelle Fernandez, and thank you for sharing that, what you stand for. And at this point, we want to go back into the journey, because you didn't get this mission of empowering, working moms, corporate moms from nowhere. It went through your own journey, your own challenges, your own difficulties. So take us back to that journey and tell us about where it started, where this mission really came from, and so we can get to know you a little bit more and understand what drives you, what helps you become your greatest possible self.
Right. So I think for me, it started at a very young age. When I was younger, when I was 11, my dad died. And then I just watched my mom pick herself up from that. She advanced in her career. And so I watched her strengthen or come up with the strength wherever she needed to come. Sorry, she's grabbing my daughter. Come up with that strength and just keep on going. So I learned from her, and I became a strong woman just watching her. And then as I grew up in my career, I faced adversity. I have always been drawn to male-dominated fields, and so a lot of coworkers and colleagues would often, maybe not outright tell me that I wasn't good enough or I shouldn't be there. And for me, that just fueled me. Like, oh yeah, let me show you. I can. I'm just as good as you are. I can do just as good of a job, if not better. And so it's always been my nature. I'm a high achiever. Very goal oriented. So I would set those goals and then I would crush them. And so, some of them would start small and they would get bigger and bigger. And then it just became easier to see that you really can't do anything you put your mind to. And so just a bunch of small collective added victories. And I've had a lot of jobs in my working corporate career, like in the last 16 years. And I used to not be proud of that, but now I'm embracing that experience and using that to show other women, slowly but surely you can move up and you can get the skills that you need to get to whatever level you want to be at.
I love it. I love it. And that's just, no matter what anyone's dream is, it's possible. You just got to figure out, what is it? What is the journey going to take to get there? Who do you have to become to be worthy of that dream, so to speak, to receive that dream, to make that dream a reality? And if the dream isn't, like, let's say, a woman has a dream to become the, CEO of Microsoft, right? Well, currently that's Bill Gates. And there is a possibility. And I think some of these dreams get put into our minds because of ego, because of trying to prove ourselves, because of whatever else it might be. So I think one thing I just wanted to contribute right off the bat is, no matter how your life unfolds, trust that it's unfolding perfectly, and don't be attached to exactly how the dream or the vision looks. Be more committed to how you feel in your experience of yourself.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer of everything happening for a reason. So I used to get caught up on, the catastrophe that was happening at the moment. But looking back, I realized that each of those happened at just the right time and opened the doors for the next bigger thing to happen. So those had to happen. And then along the lines of what Annette said with the law of attraction, I really believe in that too. Whatever you focus on, you're going to attract more of. So if you're focusing on having problems and failing all your life, then that's what's going to continue to happen. But if you're focusing on goals and solutions and working around those barriers, then you're going to be able to do that. And those things will be put in your path, opportunities and tools and resources for you to work around those barriers.
Yeah, 100%. And, you mentioned about the male-dominated fields. I'm curious, without naming any specifics, names or specific situations, was there like a point where you had this, like, I'm not tolerating this anymore. I'm not taking this anymore. I'm done with this being treated this way or this type of a life? Like, was there one of those moments or a
Yeah.
series of those moments?
I can't remember the specific moment, but I do know that it happened far too late in my career. I kind of took it way longer than I should have. But when I did realize it, I realized that it became a non-negotiable. I was no longer going to allow it. So you get what you tolerate. So if you tolerate that to happen in your life, if you tolerate people telling you you're not good enough and holding you down, then that's what you'll get. But if you take a stand and say, no, I am good enough, let me show you, and maybe not even directly to them, just again, doing your thing, then you can achieve whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And they will see it, whether they acknowledge it or not. Other people will see it, and you will be recognized and rewarded, maybe not outright visibly the way that you thought or that the world says that you should be recognized. But if you open yourself up, you'll see it happening.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So what I hear is that you felt like you'd taken it too long, and it was kind of like a series of events, and you're kind of at like the breaking point. You're like, no more. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And then you created those boundaries. You created these non-negotiables for you. So what was that transition like? And how can a woman who's going through challenges like that right now in their life, how can they make that courageous next step or leap or whatever that transition is, however you did that process? How can they engage with that process successfully?
Right. So my big thing right now, and I a lot of the clients I work with, I emphasize focusing on the skills, because at the end of the day, like looking back, I was passed up for opportunities by somebody that I was more qualified for, either just because they had been there longer, because they knew the right people, because they were a man, whatever the case was.
Right.
But I had the skill set. So I was a working mother, and whether or not anyone admitted it out loud, people think that comes with, oh, you needing special concessions. You're going to have sick children, or you're going to have pickups and drop-offs. You need special schedules. So it's, for me, I feel like I had to, or I did, voluntarily just overcompensate to show that I'm serious, I mean business, I deserve this just as much as anybody else here. So I put in the time, I did whatever I did, I had to do. So I got certifications to show that I had the experience. Some of it was just, on the job experience, but the other half of it was those certifications. And a lot of the time that would be what put me over, like if I was in competition for a role or a position. And so that helped. So again, really focusing on those skills, and then, having the solid resume to point that out, and keeping, a lot of employers, you have personal evaluations, and a lot of people set that aside and only work on it the last month of the year, and just because they have to. But you really have to keep that updated, keep track of everything you are doing, own everything you are doing. Do not discount anything that you are doing, because it all adds up. And when you have that to show your employer or someone that you're coming before, that will speak volumes, and it's a record.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it. It's like tracking what you accomplish. I want to dive into that in a second. Like how would you approach that? But before that, I do want to mention something I heard from another interview that we did with Mac Pritchard. He was talking about how to find like the dream jobs that nobody else knows about, right? And so one of the things he said is to ask when you're going in for like a job interview, whether it's a job interview or you're already at the job, you can ask your supervisor or manager or boss or whatever, like, what would it take? What would be the 3 things that you would want to be accomplished in the next 6 months, or 3 months, or a year, whatever time period you want to use, that would have you look back on that time period and be like, holy moly, I am so happy, I'm so grateful, thank you for accomplishing that, thank you for stepping up. What are the 3 things that you need to happen for this to be like a holy moly, thank you so much for being in my life experience, and it's just like getting clarity on what the people around you are expecting, what they want. Like setting proper expectations so that, you know, in
Right.
3 months or
That's
6
huge.
months, when you show up and you're like, well, I did my best, and your supervisor or, you know, male counterpart who isn't favorable to females, you know, possibly, is like, well, no, that's not what we wanted. It's like, well, you know,
Right.
if you get that clear up front, then you avoid
Yeah,
that on
we
the
had
back
this
end.
discussion.
Yeah.
And that actually goes both ways. So my last two employees were very good about asking you what drives you. So the employee, as well as setting the expectation for what the organization's goals and visions were. So we all had in front of us exactly what we were working towards.
Yeah.
And having it for, like I had it for my direct reports, knowing what drove them and what motivated them, it helped to get the best out of your employees and your coworkers also. Like, oh, this person is interested in making more money. Well, look, we have overtime opportunities. Let's give it to him or her. Knowing what drives your organization as well as the employees, and knowing that ahead of time, like you said.
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay,
I don't see you. You got frozen though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the video says connecting on my end.
Yeah, maybe try exiting out of the Zoom app, not like fully just keep the conversation, but just like minimize it and then come back to it. See if that works.
Okay, it says connecting.
It's all perfect. It's all working perfect. We might have a half video, half audio podcast. Well, we do a full audio anyways. What were you saying?
Oh, it closed. Let's reopen that.
Yeah, give it a shot. And I love this. And for everyone who's just tuning in, you know, if you have any questions for Mychelle throughout the interview, be sure to write them in the Facebook Live, whether it's live, replay, tag her in it, whatever it might be. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast or after the fact, when the individual episode goes live, you know, make sure you message her, like reach out to her. And if you have any questions, if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed or like nobody gets you or understands what you're going through, or you just feel like you don't have any hope or any other solutions, you know, Mychelle is the person who can really bring you light to your situation, bring you possibility, bring you alternative options, and how you can succeed and truly be fulfilled and happy in your career, in your life, and, you know, be recognized for all the good that you're doing in the world. So I hope you all are taking notes too, because this is gold sharing. Michelle's sharing really tactical, specific things about how you can advance yourself in your career and equip yourself to succeed. So I really, really love it.
Okay, maybe we might have to just continue with the audio for a minute. It looks like the internet connection went down. It says it's connecting, but let's see how that goes.
Sure, perfect.
But I was just saying, like you said, to know those expectations in advance can make all the difference.
Yeah. 100%. You know, and I love how you said what drives you, right? What really is the thing that moves you forward? Getting clear on that, whether it's your boss, whether it's your subordinate, whether it's your son, your daughter, your grandma, you know, your sister, whatever. I think that's a valid question. Might be a little bit weird in more of the personal relationships, and it's still important to know, hey, what really causes you to get a good, do a good job? What really causes you to show up and be your best? And knowing that
is
about
it recognition, is it money? Is it?
Yeah, knowing that about the people around us will equip us to help them achieve their goals, help them be their best self, their greatest possible self.
Right.
I love it, Mychelle. So we're going to move into the next section, and that really is, you know, as far as being a fulfilled woman in her career, like what pieces of guidance and wisdom would you share about being fulfilled in a career? How do we do that?
So I think balance is a huge part of the fulfillment. So you need to be able to fulfill your sense of purpose. Like for a working mother, it's in the home and at work. So being able to accomplish those goals at work and to show results and progress. And then at home, just everything in order and the love and the happiness piece of it. So just having that fine balance, which is very hard to attain, and it changes every day. And so just having tools and systems in place to help you as much as possible to attain that balance
Yeah.
And then the mindset is the other piece of it, and having that resilience to adapt and to roll with the punches.
Right. I love it. So it's like the balance of really staying focused on the goals and putting time into that, and then also like moving into the self-care and like what really fulfills you, what nourishes you, what are the whether it's fitness, whether it's like meditation or those daily practices, like making sure that we're doing those things to stay in our optimal positivity and energy so that we can approach the day and approach our dreams.
Yeah. So whatever you're putting your energy into, what does that balance look like for you? So whether it's your working day, does that need exercise in the morning, and does that need a lunch break and a walk somewhere in the day to balance out the stress of the work? For me right now in building a business, that balance consists of, my passion, using my skills and my knowledge to deliver and meet a need of these working mothers. So there's a balance there. So it's just really identifying what that balance looks like and doing what you need to do to attain that balance.
Yeah, 100%. And Mychelle, I know that you do the one-on-one coaching with these women, and then you also are speaking as well. So tell us a little bit more about the difference of those, what you're able to accomplish in your own career and fulfillment with one-on-one coaching. Like what are the pros and things that you really love about that, and then maybe some of the things that aren't quite ideal, and then how speaking fills up another side of your fulfillment and your purpose in life.
Sure. So for the coaching, it starts off with a lot of my clients working on resume or interview skills. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a little bit basic or superficial, kind of like what Annette was talking about, how that's like working on the body.
Right.
But you really need to focus on the core and the mindset and that mentality that I am meant for more. I am enough. I can be promoted. I do deserve to be in leadership. So that's where I really want the focus of the coaching to be, where a lot of my clients are really still stuck on the resumes and the LinkedIn profiles and the perfecting the interviews. Right. All those are very important. If you don't believe in yourself enough once you get that job to advance and progress, mm-hmm. then you will get stuck. And a lot of people find themselves stuck and can't see themselves or don't believe that they should advance or don't know how. So that's the piece where I really want to make the most progress and see that momentum. And then as far as the speaking piece, it's hard to get audiences that are all working mothers or care to hear just about working mother needs. So that's still a little more general and more about, mission, vision, values, and focusing on skills. But ultimately, I see that transforming into a dialogue about the working mother needs and opportunities and resources, because, again, they do have these valuable skills to bring to the table. They may need, flexible working schedules or part-time options or job sharing opportunities. And some jobs are starting to offer these, recognizing that, a fulfilled, valued woman brings so much to the workforce when those stressful factors are off the table. Yeah. So they're starting to see the return on the investment for offering those options and opportunities.
I love that. And what I hear is like creating a standard of this conversation in existence, this being fulfilled, this vision of yours. And I'm sure a lot of other women have this vision as well of a workplace where these women feel supported in achieving their goals, their dreams, their vision, their mission, and making progress on that. And I can't remember what I was reading. I think it was Jack Canfield's Success Principles, and the book might have quoted someone else, but it said, imagine if a company has two different opportunities. One is to invest in their employees and, have them grow and become their greatest possible selves. And the other is to not invest in them. Well, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is you invest in this employee and they will go off and, go to another company. And the guy's like, yeah, well, what happens if you don't invest? Like, do you want to be with that employee who you didn't invest in, who you didn't, really help grow? Like, that won't make a difference for your business either. So you're either going to invest now and some will stick around, some will want to keep fueling that growth with the company, with the mission, etc. And some people won't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always going to be better than not having invested in your employees and having employees that like don't know how to have an interpersonal communication, that don't know how to really resolve difficulties, that don't know what they really want, and they're not fulfilled, and they're not taking care of themselves, and they're not disciplined with their time and productivity and efficiency. So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, there are two people that I follow very closely on LinkedIn, and all of their messages are about taking care of your employees, especially your loyal employees, and when they feel recognized, when your organization's vision resonates with theirs, then they're more likely to stay. So they always put out messages of train your employees well enough that they can move up, but treat them well enough that they never want to leave, or something to that tune.
That's good. Yeah.
And, yeah. So I think that's something very important to consider, both for the employers, but also for the employees, in looking for the right organizations for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you're also an author, and you recently released your book. Tell us about that process of writing the book, Mychelle.
Well, the two books that are released are co-authors, and I'm working on my own book now, so that one hasn't been released yet. But the two that I've co-authored, one of them is actually coincidentally called Reaching Your Greatness, and then the other one is Letters to Myself. So what would I have told my younger self? And so it's a compilation of letters of what people would have told their younger selves.
Yeah.
And then the other one is on Reaching Your Greatness, and my particular contribution was on protecting your energy, and that's getting rid of the energy that no longer serves you, whether that's people or things that are distracting you, and then just attracting or bringing more positive energy so that you have the energy to focus on achieving the things that you desire.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And that's really, it's so important to recognize, hey, what's in our space and in our environment and in our life that no longer serves us. It served us to a point. It helped us get to where we are today. But just because we had it yesterday, and even maybe the last year, and even maybe the last 10 years or 20 years, doesn't mean we have to keep moving forward into our next steps with it. And it's having the self-respect and self-worth and deserving and knowing that you can handle it, capacity and self-belief that no matter what comes your way, you'll be able to handle it. But if it's not serving you anymore, if it's toxic, you got to learn to get rid of that and let that go.
Yeah. And again, especially as a working mother, with every child that I had, my bandwidth decreased more and more. There was one point where I had to look at, what is sucking up a lot of my energy. I had two friends in particular that were always calling me or asking me to spend time with them, but it was just so draining. Yeah. And so I had to make that clean cut so that I had the energy to focus on what was more important to me, which was my children at the time.
Yeah. And I hear a question to ask yourself is, what is this relationship giving me energy when I'm done? Do I feel more energized when I'm done with this conversation, or do I feel drained? Do I feel exhausted? Because if you feel exhausted, that's someone who's a toxic person.
Yeah. And it seems pretty easy, but it's not always hard to cut that person out. But if you can recognize that they're draining you every time, then that's a pretty good indicator. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wanted to bounce back to the books, because I'm sure that there was a process of, really getting your message into a book form, into a chapter form. I'm curious because a lot of times I think that there's self-worth and self-expression challenges that working moms go through. What was that like? Did you feel any of your stuff come up when you were writing these pieces in contributions for the book?
Well, in regards to what you were just talking, when writing the book that I'm working on now, when I was sitting and brainstorming, one particular incident came to mind, and I don't know why it was so strong at the time that I was sitting and brainstorming, but it was when I had interviewed for the director of an EHS position at a local university, and I was on a panel interview, and this was actually my dream job. I had always told people, I'm going to work at this university, and that's how I'm going to pay for my children's tuition. Because if you work for the university, part of the benefits were that your children, if they get accepted there, could go there or their tuition would be covered.
Yeah.
So law of attraction manifesting, this position fell on my lap, and here I was sitting in the interview.
Yep.
And so there was 20 people on this panel, and somebody asked me about my ability. Tell us about your ability to multitask. And my first response was, well, I'm a mother. I have to multitask every day. And I didn't even get to elaborate because he cut me off and he said, oh, that's cute. But seriously. And so, I snapped out of it, and I'm like, oh, he wants to hear that I'm a project manager,
right,
and I also have business development responsibilities, and I'm outsourced at a client site 30 hours a week, and I bring in revenue of $1 million for my company every year.
Yes.
And of course, that was the answer he wanted to hear. They offered me that position the next day. And I didn't think anything of it at the time, but as I'm sitting here writing this book, it kind of upset me a little bit. Like, why did he not accept my answer of being a working mother? All of the skills that I use as a working mother, leadership, negotiation, communication, multitasking, those are all the same skills I use in the workplace. So that caused me to focus my message of my book on recognizing the skills and value that with working women bring to the table, regardless of how they acquired those skills. Just recognize those skills and reward them for those skills and nothing else.
Wow. It's powerful. And it's like, really, what do these women already have? I think that's a big thing that I hear as a theme for you. It's like taking an inventory. Look at what you already have accomplished. Look at what you're already achieving. Look at what you're already gifted at, what you're already being, and leverage that and leap into that. And if people around you aren't supporting and acknowledging you for the things that you're proud of, like Mychelle, you were proud of this aspect of yourself of being, like a negotiator, a project manager, managing timelines and stuff like that with 4 freaking kids. That's incredible. And it's like people around you, this guy didn't appreciate that. He didn't see that. He didn't acknowledge that or respect that. And I think that if there's someone in your environment who doesn't see an aspect of you that you're super proud of and you want to show off and you want to be acknowledged for, then it's probably not going to be a good fit, because that's an important part of you that you want to celebrate, that you want to grow, you want to invest even more into,
Right. But circling back to the coaching and the speaking, part of it falls back on us as women. I'm in a professional development class yesterday, and the teacher shared a stat that women, when they're applying for jobs, if they don't meet 50% of the qualifications, or if they only feel that they only have 50% of the qualifications, then they won't apply. Whereas men, applying for the same positions, if they have 70% of the qualifications, they are will apply. I'm sorry, I'm screwing up this stat. But basically, women, they need, 100%. They need to feel that they have 100% of the qualifications before they're confident enough to apply. Where men don't need to feel that, and I think that's an issue that we need to address. And again, it comes back to that mindset and the self-worth.
Yeah.
So society or may not recognize our skills, but we also have to own them and stand behind them and present and package ourselves in a way that we will be respected and recognized.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, Mychelle. I totally agree. And that goes back to this conversation of, really creating this dialogue in the workplace. I'm curious, what do you feel are the things that are stopping this dialogue from growing, from really reaching as many cultures and corporate cultures as possible? And then what can women and people who are listening to this do to help the conversation flourish and thrive?
I think that some corporations still, shy away from it because it looks like discrimination. It looks like you're, favoritizing or playing favorites with women or the working mom. But I mean, these opportunities, it doesn't have to be for working moms. It can be for the working parents, because men are also stepping into the role. But even with that, even with, the fathers of these children stepping in. Special concessions may need to be made because now men are having to leave or make special schedules. So regardless of whether it's the male or the female, I don't know if you're aware, Starbucks and Care.com just partnered up to make a child care option available. And again, that's not specific for working moms or dads. It's just an option for one class of your employees. So I think it's when having that dialogue with corporations, it's not gender specific. It's not, it's just like having the dialogue about gender orientations, like, because you asked why are they not having it, or
what's stopping them? What's the block?
Right. So it's just a very delicate subject to walk around, and people don't know how to approach it. And so some corporations are just not having it. But I think there are ways where, you can see the value, can see the return on investment to the bottom line of the organization, and not discriminate anyone else in the organization.
Yeah. So the challenge with it, the difficulty is, like you said, it's a sensitive conversation, and people, I think there's fear. There's fear that they're going to do it wrong. There's fear that they're going to offend someone. There's fear that that they're going to get in trouble. That they're going to do it wrong.
That they're going to have claims or lawsuits.
Right.
As well, and that's a liability.
A good intention will go the wrong way. A good intention will be taken advantage of, or the good intention isn't worth the hassle that it takes to go through what it would take to change the culture, and what it would take to change and shift this and have a new conversation come about. So I think that that's super important for you to know, and for our listeners and everyone to know, is that, like, there's fear there is resistance. I'm sure there's some ego too, and people who don't even want to entertain the conversation because they're great with the status quo, and they're more committed to that than actually progressing and evolving.
Yeah, there are a lot of pieces. I mean, just looking at males and females, it's understood that their salaries are still generally lower than the males. So that's not even going into the mother female. So
wow. Incredible.
It's been a certain way for so long. It takes a long time to shift those perceptions.
Yeah, it does, and that's, I think it's getting on podcasts like these, getting on stages, speaking, putting out content on social media. I really love the age that we're in to be an influencer, to be someone who brings about this change. So, Mychelle, I'm super proud of you, and give you so much kudos, because, I'm still at the beginning of my journey, so to speak. I'm super into tech, totally all about, like, the social media space and, doing all that stuff. I'm not saying you're not, but for me, it's like, it's so natural. It's so intuitive. And for you to really start taking advantage of these different platforms and communication methods and different stuff like that, writing your book, like your own book, that I think it's just like, I love seeing you step up. I love seeing you really rise to the occasion and take it on, because it's definitely something that's needed in the workplace today.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going back to what I was saying earlier about, those little victories showing me that it can easily be done, and small ones turn into big ones. I used to be a health and safety consultant, and I remember, I want to say it was like 2011 or 2012, I had done the annual safety training for my organization, and I brought in the active shooter training component into the safety training, and I had shown a video, and it made a lot of people very uncomfortable. And I was approached after that training, and a lot of people asked me, "Why did you show that training? Do you have reason to believe that there's going to be an active shooter here in our workplace?" And at the time, it wasn't as common as it is now. But, and I had to just explain to them, this is safety training. We want to be prepared should that situation arise here in our workplace. And then sure enough, every year following that, it actually was the year after, no, sorry, doesn't matter. But, we want to be prepared when it happens. And sure enough, after that, Sandy Hook happened, and a series of other mass casualty shootings happened. And
Yeah.
so I remember some of those people coming back to me saying, oh, good thing that we have our plan in place. So my point being, sometimes it just takes putting the dialogue out there, getting people comfortable with it, explaining the importance of it. And so I'm trying to do the same thing with this message.
So beautiful, and I think it's imperative. The timing is perfect. So, as far as what you think is important for you to grow and keep evolving your brand in the coming years, what's on the horizon for you? What do you think is important for you to pay attention to and invest more into?
So right now, I'm trying to be very aware of the corporations that already get it and the corporations that are already offering these opportunities to this particular class of employees. What are they doing right? Where are areas of improvement? And then to bring those, and when I'm having dialogue with other corporations, to share that, hey, look at what this big, well-known company is doing for their employees, and look at their employee satisfaction ratings, and look at their end-of-year numbers and their fourth quarter reports. You know, I think there's a correlation here, and just doing that research and making those connections and sharing that information on a wider platform, so that, again, people are more comfortable with this data, see and recognize the value and importance, and then start to implement it in their organizations.
Yeah, I'm curious. How do you feel the family? How do you feel like the home and the family play a role into a woman, being fulfilled in the workplace and this conversation getting out to more people?
So with anybody, having a why, a purpose, and knowing what that is a driving force in your life. And so for a woman, having children, having a family, that's a huge why. Yeah. And so if this is my why, this is what I'm fighting for, this is what I put my energy out into the world, into my job for, that there's going to be no difference there. So when it hits closer to home, then I'm going to be more vested, more just invested in fighting for this or to supporting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And one thing I've recognized is a lot of mothers, they have this energy and this intensity and this presence as a mother. And these mothers fight for their kids, fight to protect their kids. Right. I think we were just talking about this. Like they fight to do whatever it takes to really make sure their kids have a great life, to keep them protected, to be the mom, to have that motherly, nurturing energy. And oftentimes it can be intense when it's standing for the children not getting into trouble, not getting into drugs, not, going astray on the path. The mother can bring out her ferocity. And I think something that doesn't translate oftentimes is that passionate mother energy and mother perspective that happens in the home, because the mother realizes, hey, it's do or die. If I don't stand up for these kids, yes, there's the husband and quote unquote, nobody else will, right? It's like, if it is to be, it's up to me. And I don't see that translate into the workplace that much. I'm curious, what do you think? Is that something that you think these women could step into? Would that be valuable? Is that possible? Or would you approach it differently?
I'm not sure that I'm fully understanding the question, but I don't know if you've ever heard the term that women or moms getting, like my friends always say, don't make me get mama bear on you.
Yeah.
And, this really soft-spoken woman, if they feel that their child's safety or well-being or health is threatened, will turn into this completely different woman.
Right.
And so I think that the same can happen in the workplace if they feel that their family, their livelihood, their children are going to be threatened, then you will see a different side of that woman.
Beautiful. Do you think that there's a tendency for women to not bring that out in the workplace though? Or is that...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I used to do that myself. I used to think that I had to keep that separate, that my mom life was separate from my work life, and that a lot of my coworkers didn't know that I had children, or a lot of my clients are shocked when they come to the office and they see the picture on my wall. You have 4 kids? Like, wow, I would have never known that.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that was one of my limiting beliefs from before, that I had to keep that separate if I wanted to progress and advance in the workplace. Like, that could possibly hold me back. So if I didn't have to mention it, then don't. But I don't believe that anymore.
And
I believe that's part of who I am. So I share all of me now.
how can the women who are listening right now cultivate that? It's like it's a healthy form of leadership. It's a healthy form of drive, ambition, and inspiration. So I'm curious, and that's my perspective. If you agree with it, then let's go down and let's make this recommendation. If you don't, totally cool. But like, what would you recommend to really cultivate that drive and ambition and inspiration and love while in the workplace as well? Because that's like a superpower that a lot of women are sitting on.
Right. And so with any superpower, with any skill, with any value, my recommendation is always just to own it. Women are always apologizing for something, but we need to stop, be unapologetic and own it and show up. And so if we are a mother, if we have skills as a mother that we learn from motherhood or from the workplace, again, just own it and show up with it.
Yeah. 100%. I love it. So, Mychelle, in terms of the biggest piece of wisdom that you want the women, especially who are listening right now, but in general, people, what is that wisdom that you want our audience to really receive because of their time that they invested into this interview? What do you really want them to get?
I would break it down into three things. So know what your values, mission, and vision are. Be very clear on that so that you always have a clear purpose that you're working towards. It helps to make every decision that you make easier. So does it support my vision, mission, and values? Yes or no? It should make those decisions and then therefore actions a lot clearer. The other thing is learning how to overcome adversity. You cannot control your circumstances, but you can control your response, your emotions. So always having control over that, and being able to step outside of the circumstance, take a deep breath, assess the situation before responding. And then the third piece is be solutions focused and not problems focused. So that it kind of goes hand in hand with the adversity, overcoming adversity. But as far as being solutions focused, that goes hand in hand with finding the things to be grateful for. So don't focus on what's going wrong and the problems. Focus on finding the answers, what's going right. And again, what are you thankful for?
Beautiful. I love it. I love it, Mychelle. Those are powerful, and I love that we're wrapping up on that note because those were incredible. And anyone who's listening or watching right now definitely wants to stay connected with you, especially the working moms who want to take that next step and they want to continue their journey. They want to source their power, their self, their purpose from themselves, from their true selves, and they want to know how to do it, and they want to do it with you, Mychelle. So how can they do that? What would be the next steps for them?
Well, they can contact me on my social media handle on all of the major platforms is Let Love Shine 516. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. You can find me there. You can go straight to my website that starts to list out some of the services I offer, and that's letloveshineblog.com. Or you can email me directly, Mychelle at letloveshineblog.com.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Mychelle, you're a superstar. Thank you so much for showing up today and helping our audience step into our greatness and our greatest possible self. And I appreciate you, appreciate your big heart helping these women out who really, they get to have that voice. They get to have that purpose. They get to see the value in themselves. And I'm grateful that you are championing this message and mission. You're a superstar, Mychelle. Thanks for being on today.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure. I love your energy, love your show, love how much I get out of it. It fuels me to continue to fuel my clients as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. You are welcome, superstar. I hope you have the best day ever. Keep up the heat, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Thanks. I'm sorry about the internet. I don't know what happened there.
It's all perfect. Awesome. Take care, Mychelle.
Okay, bye.